when she saw what she had done, she gave her father only one.
And the public were afraid. They thought a crazed man was on the loose. It was a brutal murder.
A murder that created a sensation in the genteel Victorian-era city of Fall River, Massachusetts. And the prime suspect in the case became an infamous American legend. Her name was Lizzie Borden.
The fact that she was a woman, and that a woman was perceived to have gotten away with murder, the fact that the crime was so brutal, and that a woman would even be thought of having committed such a brutal crime, I think that fascinates people.
The morning of August 4th, 1892 began pretty much the same as any other in the Borden home during that hot summer. Andrew Borden was at work at his job as president of the local bank, and Lizzie's sister Emma was out of town on a pleasure trip. That morning, their stepmother Abby instructed the housekeeper, Bridget Sullivan, to wash the first-floor windows of the home. In the meantime, just after 9 a.m., Abby went upstairs to remake the beds and change the linens in the guest bedroom. It was the last time anyone would ever see her alive. Just before 11 o'clock, Andrew Borden arrived home earlier than usual from the bank, and he took the back stairs to briefly go up to his bedroom. A few minutes later, he returned to the sitting room and stretched out on the sofa to take a nap before lunch. He never noticed the attacker come up from behind him, and he probably never knew what hit him. About 11:30, Bridget heard Lizzie shouting for her to come quick to the sitting room. She said someone had killed Father. Police and neighbors arrived on the scene to witness a gruesome sight. Andrew Borden was still stretched out on the sofa. His head had been shattered into an almost unrecognizable pulp. Meanwhile, Bridget and a next-door neighbor went upstairs looking for Mrs. Borden. When they got to the top of the stairs, they didn't have to look far. From under the bed, they could see Abby Borden's dead body.
The murder weapon actually was never found and never proven to be an axe, although an axe they did find in the cellar actually matched the wounds on Andrew and Abby Borden's head. But they couldn't prove scientifically at that time that that was indeed the murder weapon.
Police may not have had a murder weapon, but they did have a suspect. It was no secret Lizzie hated her stepmother, and the cops were skeptical of Lizzie's alibi that she was in the barn eating pears when the murders took place. In 1893, after months of sensational headlines about the crime, Lizzie Borden went on trial for the murders of her father and stepmother. But after only 10 days of gruesome testimony and evidence, the jury found Lizzie Borden not guilty.
The fact of the matter is, they had no evidence. They had circumstantial evidence. They had no weapon. They had no motive. They had nothing.
The sound of voices and footsteps, the sight of shadowy figures, sends shivers up the spines of those who enter the Lizzie Borden house.
I've been pushed around by spirits. I've had my legs lifted up off the bed from spirits. We've caught voices on tape recorders that you couldn't hear with your own ears, which are known as EVP. I've also heard things with my own ears that I didn't catch on tape recorders.
That's the type of activity that sparked the interest of this author.
We all remember the Borden case. It's still captivating. 100 years later, we're just absolutely gripped by this story because she was the O.J. Simpson of the 1890s.
Lizzie Borden was found not guilty on charges of killing her father and stepmother. This is the room where Mrs. Borden was found dead on the floor, and here's the couch where Mr. Borden was found dead. Paranormal experts say these photos show the presence of spirits, but knowing that doesn't scare Leanne Wilbur. She's been living in the Borden house for the last 4 years.
My first week here, I had an experience. I was in the basement of the house. I walked off the bottom staircase, took a step forward, and immediately felt like I walked into a walk-in freezer. And when I walked out of that feeling, it felt like somebody ran their finger down my back. So that was my welcome to the house. am the manager here at the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast. The house became famous on August 4th, 1892, when the bodies of Abby Durfee Gray Borden and her husband, Andrew Jackson Borden, were found brutally murdered. Mr. Borden's body was discovered first on the sitting room sofa. Abby's body was found second in the guest bedroom on the second floor. The suspected murder weapon was a hatchet. And the suspected murderer was Andrew's youngest daughter, Lizzie. And she was brought to trial for the crime. Now, Lizzie was acquitted on all charges after a 13-day trial. We will unfortunately never know who murdered Mr. and Mrs. Borden.
Ah, so did she do it?
Yeah.
Really? All right,
Yes.
let's find out. Take a look. What
She was bipolar. She was crazy.
I was told that the house had a reputation for being haunted. I have had experiences I definitely cannot rationally explain. I would hear people walking around up there when I know I was alone. I was heading up to bed one night, and I had the distinct feeling I was not welcome that night, and I chose to ignore it. So I went to bed. When I woke up the next morning, the rocking chair had shifted, and it was facing me like someone was watching me sleep all night. Another night, there was a heaviness to the atmosphere, and I was staring out into the hallway, and it took me a moment to realize that the shadow that I had been looking at the staircase just walked up the stairs.